Hey everybody, what is going on? Hraesvelgr here with another Master Duel video for you. So in this video I've got another selection of games here from my climb up to Platinum 1, and I mean up to the rank of Platinum 1. Today is March 2nd, the time that I am recording this, and yeah, I have managed to hit Platinum 1 within the first 48 hours. I made a post showing the proof that I did so earlier today, so yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I made it in definitely better time than I thought I would. I think last season I made it in 4 days, and I don't remember season 1. I think it was a few days, but to be fair, I didn't start right at the beginning of Master Duel either. I started like 4 days after it came out, so. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I am fairly satisfied with the build, getting us up to Plat 1 in a good amount of time here. We're still rocking the same deck that is going to be found in my latest deck profile, which you can find in the description, as well as a list of the cards if you're looking for that. There'll also be a link to my combo guide for Zoodiac Tri-Brigade as well. So let's go ahead and go over the list as usual right at the beginning here. We're going to start with the 3 Nervall, 3 Maxx, 2 Kerass, 3 Kitt, 3 Ashe, 1 Whiptail, 1 Thoroughblade, 1 Ramram, 3 Fraktall, 2 Nibiru, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 3 Desires, 1 Lightning Storm, 3 Tenki, 2 Called By, 2 Forbidden Droplet, 3 Imperm, and 3 Revolt. That's going to round out the main deck there. Moving on to the extra, we've got a Zoodiac Tigermoartar, a Drident, a Boarbow, and a Chakanine, as well as Arsenal, Divine Arsenal AA-ZEUS, that is. For links, we have Almiraj, Double Dragon Lord, Ferrijit, Bearbrumm, Desperate Doom Eagle, Rugal, Appalachia, Access Code, and the 2 Omen. So yeah, I'm glad I did the testing that I did at the end of Season 2 with this build, because it definitely ended up being very beneficial to rounding out the build here, and really just making sure that I was like solid and confirmed, like this is what I want for the climb. And I was indeed very satisfied with the ratios of everything. I wouldn't change a thing about this list, honestly, after my grind. I think it still holds up. So yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at the games. Now, I will note that we're going to be looking at some highlights, so there'll be replays, not the live duels. I tried to do some live duels as I was climbing, but honestly, I find I can just concentrate on the game better when I'm not having to focus on, you know, my commentary or making sure the recording is going all right while I'm actually playing. So yeah, I decided to just stop recording and just put my nose down and just do the grind. So yeah, we'll be seeing some more live videos soon enough, don't you worry, but for now, let's go ahead and take a look at these highlights. Okay, this is the first game we're going to be taking a look at, and it's actually a pretty nice one to start off with. This is going to be a mirror match, and it's going to be quite an extensive back and forth as well. And you can see, yeah, we opened a fairly awkward hand. Not only are we going second, but we opened all 3 of our Tri-Brigade Revolt, as well as a Kitt and a Desires. So, opponent's going to start off with Desires, and yeah, they get to go off with their combos, and we have no way of interrupting. So, this doesn't look too great for us to start off, right? I mean, they're getting their, like, full combo off. Although, I will note that my opponent is making some choices here that I'm not quite certain about myself. You can see they sent a Fraktall with the Kitt instead of a Nervall to add something when they pitched with Kerass, and then yeah, they make the Bearbrumm, but they don't go for the Rugal to search the Revolt, and then they end on a Dryden. So yeah, definitely not the optimal play for my opponent here, but yeah, we're gonna start off with our own Desires. It's gonna get ashed, but better than our Fraktall getting ashed. So even though our hand is a little bit awkward, we do actually have a fair amount of plays, and the fact that our opponent did not get an optimal setup is going to be really helpful as well. I think our opponent should have been able to get a 3-material Appalachia plus Revolt at the bare minimum with the hand they had, so I don't know. Not really sure what they were doing here, so yeah, we're going to summon Kitt, they're going to pop it with Dryden. I kind of figured that was going to happen. I'm going to throw down all 3 of my Revolt, because I know they can't Lightning Storm, they probably don't have a Harpies because they don't have that many cards left in hand, and with all 3 Revolt, I'm going to be able to get 3 different opportunities to try to make my own plays here. We're going to try to flip the first one. Our opponent is playing Crossout Designator, which is actually a pretty good call for this point in the meta. I'd be more inclined to try it, specifically in this early grind if I had crafted them, but I don't have any crafted, so yeah, they're going to go ahead and hit us for a fair bit of damage, as well as make some more Zoodiac plays here. Now, at this point, I was fairly concerned because they'd obviously attacked with an Exceed monster, so I'm like, okay, here comes the Zeus, but, you know, I figured at the very least, you know, they're more committed to the board than I am, so they're going to have a harder time Zeusing. Now our opponent's got the Appalachia, so not sure where that was the you know, last turn, but alright, yeah, and they're going to make a Zeus as well. So, again, this position looks really precarious for me, and like I'm not going to be able to come back, but, you know, we're going to go ahead and keep playing the game out here. We draw another Kitt, not a fantastic draw. I'm going to lead with a Revolt because it doesn't require any further commitment from the cards in my hand to play onto the board, and it can set up a potential play that'll answer a good amount of their board as well here. They're going to respond with their own Revolt in turn. Looks like they're going for 4, so they're getting an Omen. So yeah, my goal here is to try to draw some responses from my opponent, basically. Like I said, I'm flipping the Revolt because it's a fairly non-committal play. I don't have to give up my normal summon or trigger my Fraktall even or anything, and I'm going to go for my own Ominous Omen here. Now, definitely, as soon as I summon this Omen, my priority is going to be to not only set up my next search, or my own turn with this search, obviously, but I'm definitely going to want to be starting to, like, get rid of their board and basically, like I said, try to force their responses here. Now, our opponent's going to have a Forbidden Droplet. They're going to send their Shurg in order to negate ours. I was trying to hit the Zeus here, because I figure if I hit the Zeus, you know, they either don't activate because they already have a committed board, and then I just banish it, that's fine, or they wipe the board, but I still banish it, so then there's a clean slate. So that's why I kind of figured like going for the Omen here was right, but yeah, they did have the Droplet, so that is going to put a stop to that plan right there. We're going to try to activate Kerass. Our opponent's going to use Appalachia. We'll summon Kerass and try to activate once again to draw another negate. Now that Appalachia is down to 800 attack points, we can go ahead and run over it with Kerass. So now our opponent's only got a Zeus left. You can see we were able to just like slowly but surely whittle away their board. Well, I guess we could run over it with Shurg as well. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, also not too concerned about the extra material on the Zeus because I'm kind of planning on forcing my opponent to use it anyway, and then I'll just go ahead and answer it. But yeah, like I said, we're able to whittle down our opponent's board and actually slowly but surely gain back the advantage we had lost. So that's pretty good. It's going to work out for us. So our opponent doesn't actually use Zeus's effect. They just run over Kerass. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move immediately to the battle phase and then just attack into Zeus, forcing it to use this effect. We get Shurg's Surge from the Send as well, which is nice. So yeah, we don't get to battle this turn, but we do at least get to answer our opponent's board and then also establish our own, so we can, you know, start working towards sealing the game here. So yeah, like I said, definitely a very scary start, but we were able to play through it with relative ease here. We're able to set up the Fraktall into the Ferrijit, into the Nervall, into the Double Dragon Lord, and then we can link these away into Access Code Talker to destroy our opponent's Zeus. So now we not only have an access code for our opponent's next turn to set up lethal, but we also have a Double Dragon Lord for potential disruption if we need it, as well as the Maxx in our hand, which is going to be able to, more or less, like I said, kind of just seal the deal here. And yeah, that's going to pretty much do it for this game. I mean, our opponent's got 2 cards in hand. They could have some kind of response, but it doesn't look like they really do. They do have an Evenly, which I wasn't really expecting. You don't really see Evenly very often in Tri-ZEUS, so there was that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and top deck a Tenki, which is a pretty easy activate. And we have a Zoodiac Whiptail left, so we're going to go ahead and summon that. Our opponent's going to respond with Maxx. I don't really care, because I'm not, you know, they don't need to go into the extra deck right now anyway. They don't have anything on board, they don't have anything in hand. I am actually going to set up a Drytron here, and I did actually debate this for a little bit, whether or not I wanted to set up this Drytron. I figured giving them 1 extra draw was worth having a little bit of disruption on their turn. I figure if they summon a Tri-Brigade monster or a Zoodiac monster, I'll just pop it on the summon, and then they're not going to really have anything they can do at that point anyway. So, sure enough, they do get a Tenki. They're going to add the Fraktall, and they're going to activate, but it's, yeah, ultimately not going to lead to anything. They're just going to concede. So, yep. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this next game here. Alright, next duel loading up here. This is going to be against Sky Strikers. Going to be another nice back and forth as well. Yeah, I saw the Dark Magician mate, and I thought my opponent might be playing Dark Magicians, because I think I mentioned this in a previous video as well, but When you see a Dark Magician mate, that doesn't always mean your opponent's playing Dark Magician, but if your opponent's playing Dark Magician, they always have a Dark Magician mate. So, I don't know, just something fun I noticed. But, yeah, we're going to start off with a Tenki for a Fraktall, for the usual loop back into another Fraktall. We're going to activate Fraktall's effect, and our opponent's going to respond with Maxx. I have a Called By. This was a bit of a debate trying to figure out whether I wanted to respond with Called By or not. I ultimately decided that setting up the Appalachia was more important than having access to Maxx on my opponent's next turn here. Because if I had let the Maxx resolved, I would have banished for Bearbrumm and then gotten a Rugal, and my opponent would have gotten 2 draws, so they would have gotten a +1 off the Maxx. So I asked myself, what would I rather have? A Rugal and a Revolt, and my opponent get a +1, but me be able to use Maxx, or set up a 3-material Appalachia, have my opponent only start with 4 cards, and then not be able to use Maxx. So yeah, I just decided the Appalachia was the better play. So, like I said, I decided to Call By there. So we're going to set up a Revolt, put back the Maxx because we're not able to use it, and then we have a Zoodiac for backup plays in case we need to spring a Zeus on our opponent's board. If they answer us and establish a board we need to beat there. So, yep, they're going to Terraforming for the Area 0, revealing themselves as Sky Striker at this point. They'll Harpie's Feather Duster to force the Revolt. Not a huge deal. A little annoying. Obviously, I would much prefer to Revolt during my opponent's turn, but it is what it is. Or during my, as a response to my opponent's play, that is, but it is what it is. Yep, gonna go for Omen here. It is, you know, in situations like this where I'm forced to activate Revolt and I don't have anything to banish with Omen, I do sometimes consider, like, maybe should I only get 3 and go for Desperate Doom Eagle, but ultimately, I think most of the time, especially if you don't know the matchup, it's safer just to go for Omen. Even if you don't get the banish, it's still a better play. So opponent's got 2 Area 0s, they're gonna set 1 and activate another one. That does not get their Search, which I think they thought it would have, but they do have a Widow Anchor. Or I think actually they were just trying to set up 3 spells in grave so they could steal with Widow Anchor, which is going to be a great play because it's not only going to allow the Shureg to attack over my Appalachia, but they're going to be able to link away my Shureg here so I don't get it back as well. Well, it looks like they try to Area 0 it, but they don't get a Sky Striker or Excavate, so then they link it away. Yep, into Raz, and then I assume they'll be going into Kaigiri to get back the engage they sent with Hayate, so that way they can draw and search. So yeah, you can see, you know, not an ideal setup against Sky Striker. Like, obviously we wouldn't like this to not all be going off, but we do at least have a Whiptail and a Fraktall in hand, so even though we can't really counter their plays at this point, we do at least have solid plays of our own going into our next turn here. They'll even set up a multi-roll because they searched the what did they search here? Yeah, they searched a Widow Anchor, but they actually also got a multi-roll, which is very, very lucky draw on their part. And they'll Shizuku for an Afterburner. So, yeah, I mean, this is a pretty scary setup against Sky Strikers, right? Like, they pretty much have everything good to go here. We do draw Revolt, which is a very, very good draw here. It means that I can pretty much, like, combo freely, do whatever I want here. I don't have to worry about not having plays for next turn because I have the Revolt, so I'll activate Kerass, my opponent will flip the Widow Anchor. I pretty much, you know, expected this was going to happen. And we'll just set Revolt and pass, and our opponent is going to get an engage with the multi-roll here, which again I also kind of anticipated was going to happen. So yeah, this is going to be another game where we get to have a nice, like, kind of come from behind scenario, because as you can see, like, this is definitely a losing position here. Our opponent's got a lot of advantage up on us. We know they have Destruction, we know they have Disruption, so yeah, it's all just kind of like coming to a head here a bit. So we're obviously going to flip the Revolt in response to the Afterburner, because if we don't, it's just going to get destroyed. We have to do it in response to the activation of the card. There's no opportunity between the monster being destroyed for you to flip it, so don't try to wait there. We're going to go for 4 and go for Omen here. Now, I really thought my opponent was going to Widow Anchor this Omen effect here. Maybe they do, actually. Hang on. Yeah, we're going to, you know, set up the usual chain block as always. Nervall, Omen, Kitt. Yeah, they don't play the Widow Anchor from hand, which I'm a little surprised about. Maybe they couldn't for some reason I'm not thinking of, but I don't see any reason why that would be. Yeah, we're going to banish the multi-roll because... oh, no, they didn't get Widow Anchor back. Or did they? They searched it, I thought. No, they didn't. Okay. Got it. Okay, I thought they had it in hand. That's my mistake. Yeah, we're going to banish the multi-roll so that way they can't get their Widow Anchors and their stuff back. Besides, if we try to banish the Shizuku, they'll just get a Ray back anyway, and then they can use Ray to go into the Hayate, so it doesn't really do anything. So yeah, definitely want to banish the multi-roll with the Omen there. And from there, they'll go into Kaineb. Obviously, they can't go into another Kaigiri because Kaigiri is at 1. And then they'll go into a Shizuku. Yeah, they get to search for the Engage and pass it back to us. So we do know at this point, at least, that our opponent is not reestablishing their board with the multi-roll, so they don't have any Widow Anchors set up. So again, that's why another reason I banished the multi-roll there, so that I can ensure my own plays would go off on my turn. So yep, here we're just going to start going up for Zoodiac plays. We can banish the Area 0 with Omen's effect, so that way they don't get a search for another Sky Striker Ace from their deck. So now we can just start setting up a potential Zeus, and this is where, once again, you can see the kind of shift in who's in control of the game here. And all it really took was that one Revolt flip to get rid of the multi-roll to kind of put me back in a more favorable spot to now pivot into this position I'm in here, where now I'm actually like taking control of the game again. So that's kind of why I always say you don't want to like concede even when things look bad, whether you actually hit the surrender button or whether you just kind of like give up on the game in your head, because you just have to keep like chipping away at your opponent, kind of the way I've been doing, right? You just have to like keep getting those little footholds in, and then eventually you'll be able to shift the momentum back in the direction you want it to go. So our opponent's going to normal summon the Ghost spell here. I'm just going to go ahead and pop off the Zeus because 1, they've already used their normal summon, and 2, I don't want them to go into some more extensive plays. I think the Ghost spell is a tuner, right? So yes, it is. So they were trying to go into the Crystron to set up, I'm assuming, a Veilor to go in Selene to go into Access Code, that whole play. So yeah, as soon as the Ghost spell comes down, I'm just going to clear with Zeus. Same here when our opponent sets a back row. Since they've already used Ray this turn, if I clear the Sky Striker monster, they're not going to be able to summon Ray again. So I definitely want to use it during the end phase to counter that and also get rid of the back row there. We're going to Pot of Desires. Our opponent's got an Ash. I don't really care because, like I said, I've already got like a nice foothold in this game. I've already got control, so I'm just going to normal summon Kitt, go for the Desperate Doom Eagle. We'll use it to put back a Ray. It's not really necessary, but we'll just do it anyway. And then we can link away into our Access Code Talker, and combined with the Zeus, we're able to swing for game here. And as you can see, it doesn't even take, there's not even that much time between like us gaining our initial foothold and then just boom, we go right into game. So yeah, cool, awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look at another game here. Okay, here is another game. I think this one's against the mirror match, if I recall correctly. I should have confirmed the opponent's deck before I clicked on it, but if I remember right, this should be the mirror match. So okay, we are going second here, but we open Maxx and Ash. So our opponent's going to summon the Whiptail. I'm going to immediately snap off the Maxx in response, but our opponent's got a cross-out designator, and yeah, this doesn't look like it's going to end up being the mirror match. Or it could be Pure Zoo. At this point, I actually kind of assumed it might be Pure Zoo because, well, it could also just have been Tri-Zoo, obviously, with a weird opening hand. Sometimes you do just have to, you know, normal summon Whiptail and go for a turn 1 Dryden, but, I mean, either way, right? As Zoodiac hits the board, we know a lot of Exceed summons are coming, so I want to pop off Maxx. They have the Cross-Out Designator. They're going to set up a Dryden as well as a back row. I don't have that great of a hand here, but I can set up a Nervall into Almiraj play to potentially go for, you know, set up the Kerass and then go for some amount of plays here. But our opponent's got the Ash here. I'm going to have to call by it, even though I have 2 Ashes of my own in my hand, which is really unfortunate. I would have obviously really liked to Ash my opponent on my next turn, but it doesn't look like that's going to get to happen here. So yep, we'll get the Nervall search, and that way we can keep going with our plays. We'll pitch the Ramram for Kerass, but our opponent's going to use Dryden's ability. I'll respond with Almiraj, though, because I have that, but our opponent's got a very, very nice called by in response, so they can actually negate our Almiraj and prevent the protection I thought I was going to have so that my Kerass play could go through here. So This is definitely, again, a very awkward setup. This is going to be, once again, another, like, coming from behind kind of a game, right? We've only got 2 ashes in our hand that we can't even use this turn. Our opponent doesn't have a whole lot either. They're just going to switch Drident to attack mode, but we all know that's going to mean they get to Zeus, so, you know, not ideal for us. So, yeah, once again, like I said, we're going to be in a kind of coming back from behind kind of a mode here. But, you know, that's why I saved these replays in particular, because I thought, hey, these are good games against good decks, and I want to show more of these scenarios, because I have noticed, especially with my live games, just due to the nature of, you know, trying to record live games, yeah, and I draw a call by here, so I'm going to have to just set Ash and pass, but yeah, just due to the nature of live games and, you know, my limited time frame to record them, sometimes I don't get, you know, as many great games with them as I would like good back and forth like this game, right? Sometimes they just end up being, like, kind of my opponent breaking or me opening a really good turn 1 hand, but, you know, with these replays, I have the opportunity to kind of show more games like this, and I have a better time frame, because again, if I try to do a live game like this, you know, one game kind of ends up being its own video, whereas with the replays I can fit in multiple games like this in a video. So yeah, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the two, between replays and live videos. I like that format because it lets me show kind of a balance of games and a balance of commentary styles as well. So I know people like the live, they tend to like the live ones a little bit more, so I am going to try to get those out a little bit more than the replay ones, but yep, it'll be a mix from here on out. That is the current plan anyway. So yeah, I'm not really talking about this game as much as I should here. Yeah, you can see we had to kind of, like, you know, set the Ash, and our opponent did use a Zeus to get in 3,000 damage, which I don't think is a bad play, but I think it's kind of like up in the air. I'm the kind of player where I'm more inclined to save Zeus's materials for a needed board wipe. Because as you can see, they're going to try to do it here with Rugal. We're going to respond to Rugal's effect, but yeah, I guess it depends if you would rather have 3,000 damage or a board wipe. Given that I was at 6,800 life points, and even, you know, a second Zeus direct attack wouldn't have even been lethal by itself. I mean, sure, they have the kit in the hand, so this is also, I think, the first they actually reveal that they're a Tri-Brigade deck, as well as Zoodiacs. I kind of assumed they were pure Zoo up to this point, but yeah, I don't know. You just kind of have to decide, I guess, you know, in that situation, is the Zeus sending everything or the 3,000 damage worth more? But, oh, I guess, I'm sorry, I actually lost this game. I totally forgot about that. So, it did end up being worth it because my opponent did end up having lethal there. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I actually clicked on a different replay than I thought I did. Yeah, our opponent's going to end up getting the game there. I wanted to include that one because, you know, as I was saying just now, you have to decide whether the 3,000 damage or the Zeus, you know, clearing everything is more worth it. I guess in that scenario, the Zeus clearing everything did end up being more worth it. Granted, I think with our opponent's kit, they could have set up more damage anyway, like they could have gone to an access code, but either way, like I said, even though it was a loss, I wanted to show a good back and forth with a mirror match, because we also haven't seen a whole lot of mirror match in these duels. But okay, I'll quit rambling now. Let's actually go ahead and watch another game here. Okay, this one is going to be definitely a quicker game than the others were. We're going to be playing against Drytron this time, so this will be a very nice, satisfying win against them, particularly for people, you know, who have run into a lot of Drytron, like I did on ladder, and it can be very demoralizing when they open sometimes and you can't really do anything. So you see, we got a pretty awkward hand. 3 Kit is definitely not ideal, but yeah, we have the Maxx in response to our opponent trying to set up their Drytron plays here, which is definitely nice. They don't have a called by, so we're going to get the draw, and they're just going to stop right here, because obviously they know they risk me drawing into a lot of stuff, potentially like stuff like Ash and Nibiru and Imperm if they keep special summoning with their Drytron plays. So we draw Thoroughblade, but I'm going to go ahead and lead with one of my 3 Kit. I don't want to lead with a Zoodiac into Zeus play here, because I've got 3 Kit and I want to start using them, you know, while I can, basically. And I don't really need to go into a Zeus against a board like this. Plus, they've only got 3 cards in hand, so I'm confident that my Tri-Brigade setup is going to be enough to get me the win here. So, yep, we go into the Ferrijit to summon another Kit. link away into a Rugal here as well. We get a Desires off the Ferrijit, which is pretty good. We get more draws, although we just get another Revolt and a Desire, so it doesn't really end up mattering. I'm going to summon Bearbrumm here and actually use Bearbrumm's effect to get the Nervall, because this way I'm going to actually set up an OTK here by going into Access Code Talker for 5,300. Now I have the Bearbrumm out with 1,700, and then I can Nervall to get a double Dragon Lord. Access code can destroy this, and then we can OTK for game. So even though that was a fairly quick game, I wanted to show that one still because one, isn't it nice and satisfying to have just a quick win against Drytron for a change, and two, I wanted to show one of the ways that you can set up an OTK on your first turn against an opponent, especially one where they don't have many cards on board like our opponent there. So I think we have time for one more game. Let's go and look at one final one before the end of the video here. Okay, this will be the last duel of the video. This one is going to be against an Endymion Pendulum deck, which is actually kind of, I think, a little like on the rise. I've seen more of them on the ladder recently anyway, and I've noticed more people talking about the deck. It seems like a neat deck. I'd like to try Pendulum decks at some point, but I don't have any plans to at this time. I do have some more new decks coming in the future. You should see fairly soon here if you haven't already, but yep, so we're going to go ahead and Maxx C with the Jackal King's effect as it special summons a monster from the extra deck here. So our opponent is going to set up a Mythical Master Beast Cerberus here. I'm actually going to Imperm when they activate the Upstart because I want to talk about this for a second real quick. So I'm not very intimately familiar with Endymion decks and how they work, except I know obviously they care a lot about having spell counters on the board, right? I know a lot of the effects remove spell counters from anywhere on the board or activate, I think, by having spell counters on the board, from what I understand from my experience and from, reading over these cards briefly. So I know that the Cerberus gains spell counters whenever your opponent activates a spell, or whenever you activate a spell card. So what I'm doing here is I'm imperming to negate the Cerberus's effect so that it can't start accumulating spell counters here. So if I do that, they won't be able to use this effect, although it's not a quick effect, so be banished. So I won't have to worry about it on my turn anyway, but yeah, I don't want them to set up spell counters for other potential plays here. So that's why I am imperming the Mythical Master Cerberus in response to the Upstart Goblin here. I just wanted to make that clear before the replay continues there. The opponent's going to continue drawing with Into the Void, and they have a Spell Power and Mastery as well. Thank goodness we activated that Imperm, because this would have, what, 6 spell counters on it by now, which would be a little bit scary, but our opponent's going to perform a Pendulum Summon here, and they're going to get another Endymion onto the board, as well as the Mythical Beast Jackal as well. They have another one of those, so yeah, we do activate the Tenki here, which I didn't realize initially is going to give the Jackal 2 spell counters here, so that was a bit of a misplay on my part. It's actually going to give all their cards spell counters, but really the Jackal is the one that we care about the most. So yeah, we are going to have to try to use a monster effect negate to bait out the Jackal's negation due to a bit of a misplay on my part. We'll do that with the Kerass here, even though we don't need it. Obviously we have plenty of other summons. I mean, we'd be playing Kerass either way, but yeah, that is enough to draw the negates from the Jackal. So from there, I'm just going to summon Thoroughblade, because now I know my opponent doesn't have any negates or anything set up. And really, that's kind of what I was looking for. This is why I like the Zoodiac package a lot in this deck. I know I've said this before, but I've seen some people in comments, and I've seen people on the Discord say, like, oh, what's even the point of Zoodiacs here? You barely ever use them, why don't we just play pure Tri-Brigade? This is a large reason to have Zoodiacs here. Is if our opponent sets up a board either by answering ours and then going off, or in this case if they go first, we can use the Zoodiac into Zeus play in order to just wipe their board and then totally just take control of the game. So it's another reason why Tri-Zoo is like the tier 1 deck, right? And it's another reason why it's so, like, you can go first or second with it either way and you're good. It's because if you go first, you set up your Tri-Brigade plays, but if you go second and your opponent sets up a huge board, we have the option to go into Zeus and then just wipe our opponent's board and completely answer them and then win the game that way. So it's like you're hitting the opponent from a bunch of different angles all at once, and the Zoodiac plays just provide yet another way to hit your opponent when going second or coming from behind either way. So Yep, okay, that's going to do it for the replays here. Let's, as always, take one more look at the deck as we sign off and end the video here. Okay, guys, as always, I want to thank you so much for watching the video, especially all the way to the end here. I super duper appreciate that. And I also want to thank you for just joining me on my journey towards Platinum 1 here in Season 3 in general. I had a whole lot of fun doing it on the way. Like I said, I'm pretty excited that I was able to get here in a good amount of time, because that means we have plenty of time now for the rest of the season to make a lot of videos for other decks, and I plan on building not only new decks, but going through a lot of our other decks that we haven't updated in a while, and updating the deck profiles for those as well. So yeah, get ready to see a lot of new decks, both old and new, here on the channel. We'll still get some Tri-ZEU in, you know, as well. So don't think just because, oh, I got Plat 1 now, it's the end of Tri-ZEU, I'm never going to use it for the rest of the season. No, we'll still be seeing plenty more of this deck as well, as this is not only, I think, you know, the best deck of the format right now, but it is also one of my favorite ones to play. So, yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching, and especially thank you if you're commenting and subscribing. That means a whole lot to me. I love seeing your guys' feedback. I love interacting with you all in the comments. It's one of my favorite parts of uploading these videos. So, yeah, if you leave a comment, there's a decent chance you might hear back from me. But in any case, that is going to do it. As I've said now 3 times. I always do this during my outros, right? I feel like I keep repeating myself because I just always want to say, like, how much I appreciate you guys watching and how much I love hearing from you, but blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna go ahead and end it now. This is HexLex signing off. Have a fantastic day.